when I was in second grade,
Steve, when you're in second grade is the only thing I could hear.
Did we lose Steve?
It looks like we
Yeah,
lost.
it looks like he got kicked off.
Chris, you have a thought of the day, don't you?
Probably, but let's
Oh wait,
for-
I'm admitting him back in now.
Yeah.
Okay.
My thought of the day would be tainted towards blue and gold.
okay, guys, I'm back.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, anyway, sorry about that. When it said recording, you're supposed to hit got it, I hit the left meeting, so apologize for that. But anyway, when I was in second grade, I read one of my first biographies, and it was on a great American, Ben Franklin. And as part of reading the biography, each one of us had to get up and do one of his proverbs or aphorisms from Poor Richard's Almanac that he published for many, many years. And my particular one was a fairly common one you hear all the time. And it was early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I've always remembered that. And I thought today, as a thought of the day, maybe share some of Ben Franklin's other from like 1736 to into the 1760s. He also said, "He that lies down with dogs shall rise up with fleas." And he also said, "Better to slip with foot than tongue. Well done is better than well said. A true friend is the best possession. Lost time is never found again. And glass, china, and reputation are easily cracked, but never mended." Interestingly, one of the aphorisms he did not say, but it was by another individual, Dale Carnegie, who said, "Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do." So anyway, Ben Franklin, a great American. And Dale Carnegie, for that matter, too. It was a great American. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any guest or visiting Rotarians? Not that I'm aware of. God. Back in. Can you hear me?
You're on, Chris.
Yeah, you're on. You're on. You just probably can't see us yet.
Huh. I don't seem to be able to have a visual.
So we're at the part where it says announcements. Do you have announcements you want to say?
And we can see you.
Seriously?
Seriously, yeah.
How is that possible? I can't see anybody.
Yeah. You're just not on. That's from your perspective.
Okay.
Chris, why don't you log on, log out, and then log back in?
Okay. Same thing is happening.
Well, we can still see you.
You haven't logged
Yeah.
off yet. You haven't logged off, Chris.
You have to hit the leave button at the top right. There should be like a leave button.
On the right-hand corner, hit it, and then come back in.
Why don't you just go ahead, Chris, because we can see you and hear you.
All right,
So-
I'm leaving.
Okay. So Tom, you got a good joke? You have a good Jewish joke?
Well,
He
April
has it.
2nd is, I'll run a few announcements before Chris gets back. April 2nd is the Rotary District Brunch, Sunday, April 2nd. It's at the Proud. So I know I'm going, Gordon's going. I'm not sure anyone else will be attending, but I hope so. So look at your calendars and see if you can make the luncheon at the Proud Bird. It's the last district breakfast, if you will, district brunch for Olivia's year. Next year, incoming district governor Makiko is going back to a weekday morning arrangement. Ben, I think on the 22nd you have we have the Otto and Sons, right?
Yes, at 10:30 up at Otto and Sons. I sent an email to everybody. Respond. Some of you are going, some of you are not. I also attached a menu from Sweet Greens. Pick your items. We'll have them ordered and we'll bring it with us. And we're gonna, after the tour, which is a couple hours, we're gonna have a picnic lunch in their secret garden. It's
Nice.
it's Scott of Otto's and Sons' wife's special garden that she created.
Okay,
Right.
all right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Chris, we went through the district breakfast brunch on the 2nd of October, and we went through Ben sharing about Otto and Sons. So
Okay.
we start, so we don't have to repeat those.
Start your video, Chris.
Ah, there he is.
There you are.
All right, perfect. So, this is not the joke of the day, but it's some comments on pregnancy. So, should I have a baby after 35? No, 35 children is enough. I'm 2 months pregnant now. When will my baby move? With any luck, right after he or she finishes college. And finally, is there any reason why I have to be in the delivery room while my wife is in labor? Not unless the word alimony means anything to you.
Very good, Chris.
Yeah, that appealed to me. Oh, and I'll give you one more. Is there anything I should avoid while recovering from childbirth? Yes, pregnancy. Okay. I would like to introduce Pranav, and but before I get into Pranav, I want to give a little history of the Rotary Graduate Scholarship Program. Not all of you are, maybe some of you are vaguely familiar with it, but many years ago, when I first joined Rotary, Mike Newman and I, we were considered the two youngest members of our club. And so the incoming Rotary scholars, and there were a lot of them at that time, they needed to get mentors, Rotary individuals from different clubs that would sponsor them. A lot of the scholars were coming from foreign countries, had never traveled to the United States, and it was culture shock for them to be coming, especially if they had the misfortune of being assigned to go to USC. So I don't say that seriously, but I do want you to recognize in the 80s, there was quite a bit of a difference in the environment between UCLA and USC. And USC was a little bit not as safe. So during the years that Mike and I were responsible for the incoming scholars, we had them from more countries than you can name, all throughout Europe, Asia, China, Taiwan, Germany, Finland, Norway, Spain, Great Britain, one from Pakistan. Pranav was from India. And we had 20 to 25 students coming in every year. And our responsibility was to assign them to a respective club. So if they were going to go to SC, they were assigned to a club around USC. If they were going to go to UCLA, they were assigned to either the Santa Monica Club or our club. So we had an opportunity to get to know these young people. And, you know, one of them turned out to be Pranav. He was from India, and he was going to study with Dr. Sinsky, which is a rival of the Jules Stein Institute in Santa Monica. And so at that time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that you had ever been to the United States before.
That's correct.
And we had gotten in an apartment in Santa Monica, or on the border of, I think it was Santa Monica, very close to the Sinsky Institute, where you could take a bus there every day. Again, why was he here? Because Pranav was an ophthalmologist in India, and he wanted to continue his education in the field. And Dr. Sinsky had a worldwide reputation. So, with that as an introduction, Pranav, I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Chris. I think that's beautiful starting, and maybe I should continue from there with my perspective on all this. First of all, I'm very thankful to the Westwood Rotary Club, because it was this club that was my sponsored club. As 8,000 miles away from here, never been out of USA, I mean, out of his own country, of let alone USA, and wants to pursue this different type of advanced cataract surgery technique that's not available anywhere in India, let alone in entire continent of Asia. It was something revolutionary that in just early 80s was becoming popular in the US. And one of the pioneers for that technique was this Bob Sinsky person, who had started Jules Stein Institute. He was the first ophthalmologist there, but then he had moved into his private practice in Santa Monica, and he was known all over the world, but he would take only one student from all over the world. So many odds were against. To get a visa to America for a young student from India at that time was extremely impossible, because our country, US, allows family-based immigration. So if you have a family, you can bring your spouse and their relatives and their parents, but we can't get merit-based immigration. So it was very difficult in those days. So that was also against. And of course, going to a new country, how are you going to support and figure out everything without knowing anyone? Well, here comes the Rotarians. They become Paul Harris Fellows, and the amount of dues that you pay to become Paul Harris Fellow, that provides an award called the Rotary International Education Award. This is awarded to one person out of a huge population. Like in my area, it was out of 40 million population, there was one such award. So it was very prestigious, very competitive. 150 Rotary clubs would advertise and interview a lot of people, and one candidate finally. So I was lucky to get that award. And because of Rotary International was inviting me, and Bob Sinsky accepted me as that once a year student, and UCLA got me the admission, I was given the US visa. And then when I landed in America for the first time as a 25-year-old student with no experience of Western world, a man with eternal smile on his face and a thick hair on his top. Yes, you guessed it with that clue. That was Chris Gaynor, came and received me. And it was a culture shock like you won't believe. But the story began with the Rotarians, with the generous contributions to the Paul Harris Fellowship that allowed students like me from far away different countries to come and pursue their passion in the field where they wanted to learn something. So what did I want to learn? I wanted to learn the latest technique of cataract surgery. So let me just tell you a little bit about what a cataract is. So if you can see, this is an eyeball. If you can see that, there, is it clear enough? This is the front of the eye, and light goes in this way. And this lens that you see in the middle, that is normally transparent and clear. And this lens has to focus all the light on the back of the retina. But like our hair turned gray, this lens gets cloudy, and that is the cataract. So when we start having difficulty with night driving or inability to see the street signs from far away, that is the little cloudiness within the eye, that cataract has to be removed, and then a new lens has to be put in. In good old days, we had to cut the whole eyeball open and cut it out, and then take the whole cataract and then stitch the eyeball up. So Bob Sinsky and some other great doctors in on the East Coast, like Charlie Kellman, they developed this new technique where we make a 2 millimeter incision in the eye. So it's like tiny little thing, 2 millimeters, think about it. And we put a little ultrasound needle in there that breaks the cataract into small fragments, and we use a little vacuum and take it out, and we roll an implant like a little burrito and put it inside and open it up inside with this Sinsky instrument. The whole surgery takes nowadays about 6-7 minutes. The results are fantastic, and people can go back to work very, very quickly. The complications become very, very less, and the vision becomes very, very good. And now when we put the implant in, we can put to correct your far vision, we can correct the stigmatism, and we can correct the near vision. So a lot of times a person can drive and pass the DMV test without glasses, but also be able to read the computer and the phone without glasses, which is like a huge convenience. And the biggest advantage of this type of cataract surgery is that as we get after 60, 65, 70, the risk of fall is a very high risk of mortality in elderly people. If you have this kind of range of vision with these special premium lenses, then your depth perception is such that you don't even have that high risk of fall. So that adds a lot to the quality of lifestyle. So there were tremendous advantages, and only because of the Rotarians, I could get this award, and I was able to learn this technique about 30 some years ago. So with that big thanks, I want to see if you have any questions that we can open up, or I can keep talking, whatever we like. But I would love questions because we can make it interactive. Yes, Ben.
So I just had my second cataract done last Wednesday.
Great.
They put in a toric lens.
Okay.
And the question is, I asked the doctor, why am I seeing colors so different?
Uh-huh.
Can you explain?
Yes.
As he said, there's 3 types of lenses. Obviously, the lens we have that God gave us is a different color than the ones we use on cataracts. Is that correct?
Partially, but let me explain. Let me make it very simple. Now, Ben, did they tell you before the meeting started that every question is a consultation? It's going to be one tie is going to cost you, okay? Just kidding. So,
well, for sure, I have a tie that's definitely different than this one.
So Ben asked a very good question. What kind of lens to put in the eye? What is this toric lens? Why are the colors different? These are some very, very good questions. Let's think about this. You have a windshield. You're driving fancy cars. Well, by the way, I have made so many mistakes when I came to America. One of the biggest fear was when a Rotarian would come to pick me up, because I was invited to speak at 35 or 36 Rotary clubs in my first year here. And I loved that speaking and meeting with the Rotarians. Obviously, I didn't have a car, but a Rotarian would always come to pick me up and drop me off. My biggest fear was, how am I going to unlock? So throughout the drive, I would figure out, because it sounds so simple now, but at that time, all these cars were different. Some had a Cadillac, some had a Mercedes, some had a Lexus, some had, I don't even know what kind of car, and each one had a different lock. Now, you may think that, what kind of naive person talks about, but that was the biggest fear I had, that I don't want to look so stupid to a Rotarian to ask them, how would I unlock this car? But all throughout the drive, I was figuring out, this is the way I'm going to unlock it. This way I'm going to unlock it. And the driver's side, I couldn't copy because they would just push and, it's simple. Anyway, so the normal lens so you have a clear windshield. Sometimes it gets dusty and dirty. It's similar concept. You have a clear window outside your backyard through which you can see the hummingbirds or the trees or the flowers, or if it's Chris's house, the pomegranates growing and the oranges. Imagine every week someone comes and puts a little white paint, a little white paint, and a little white paint. A few weeks later, you will start noticing things are a little blurry. Things are a little blurry. And that is what a cataract is. There is a pigment, a yellow colored pigment called urochrome. As we get older, it accumulates in our lens, which was transparent. And that's why everything becomes yellow. But this yellow is so gradual that you don't notice unless overnight it's removed. And now you see the real blues are blue and all the colors become beautiful. Some doctors, for some reason, started putting a yellow lens when they did the cataract surgery in people. They said, oh, it's natural. That's how nature is. But that's not the smartest thing we figured out after a long time. And most doctors don't put the yellow lens. So majority of the people who would have cataract surgery will not have a yellow lens in their eye. They would have a clear lens so you can see like you saw when you were 20 years old. But because it has been a little while since you were 20, Ben, you now suddenly realize that, wow, I see great colors out of the eye that I had cataract surgery. Now you said toric lens. Now toric lens is going to correct only your astigmatism and your far vision. So for reading, you're going to need some reading glasses, which somebody else who may be part of your club will not need to wear reading glasses because they can probably see their computer just fine. Is that correct, somebody else?
Yes.
Yes. So someone like Chris can read the computer also very well because he got a lens that also corrects far and near both. So he doesn't need to have glasses in all his different rooms, but it's nothing bad. All those lenses are good, but depending on what your surgeon felt would be comfortable for him to deliver a good surgery, because each complicated lens you do, you have to have tremendously fine skills to deliver the exact result, but nothing bad. Great lens, toric lens, very good. Yes,
Well, I have another lens in the other eye. So I have 20/20. I do not have to see any glasses for the first time.
Great, that's great.
Go ahead, Phil.
I got a question. There's been some debate about whether like lutins or eye vitamins can help with macular degenerative disease in the eyes. Is that more just kind of folklore? Is it can those actually help? Do you recommend lutins?
Very good question. So macular degeneration is a disease that develops in the back of the retina here. So when the light is going here, this is the part of the retina that is important for your 20/20 vision. So what happens is that there are pigments here, and these pigments slowly fall off as we age in people who have macular degeneration, and a blood vessel breaks and bleeding happens, and then we lose the reading vision. So macular degeneration is a disease that gradually develops because we inherited the gene, and the pigments slowly go away and fade away, and sometimes the retina breaks and bleeding happens. The vitamins, and if you want to write it down, I can give you some names which are over the counter. One is called OcuVite, OCUVITE. It's over the counter, or Preservision, like preserving your vision, Preservision. These two are some of the best brand name vitamins, but also it is now available as generic, and I very, very strongly recommend it. It's not a folklore. Why? Think about if your pigment is falling off and you get a little glue like cement that tightens the pigments together and keeps them a little bit longer. Yes, it won't reverse the disease, but it'll slow down the going away, fading away of the pigment. And that is where these vitamins come into play. And OcuVite or Preservision has everything that you need, the lutein, the zeaxanthin, and all of the above. Now, if you take lutein over the counter, don't take more than 6 milligrams. It's a big number because some patients accidentally take 20 milligrams. There is a very high chance of lung cancer in people who use high amount of lutein. So you want to take 6 milligrams or less. But if you take OcuVite or Preservision, you don't have to think they have everything the way you should. But yes, if you have family history of macular degeneration, or you are diagnosed with macular degeneration, very strong recommendation, take this vitamin. Except you're on a blood thinner of old-fashioned type called Coumadin, then you have to check with your cardiologist. Was that good enough, Phil?
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So continue on your journey. You saw Dr. Osinski, you studied with him for a year. Then
Yes.
what happened?
And then I went back to India and I started my practice, and I had more patients than I could handle, and life was just beautiful. But at that point in time, there was one problem. I was trying to import all this equipment from America. And unfortunately, at that point in time, India was a little different than the modern India that is now. So I had to pay tremendous amount of money to the government official to allow me to import the equipment, which was very, very difficult for me to agree to in moral compass. And we were trying to set up a big surgery center. It was going to be a Rotary center where it was a matching grant that was approved by the foundation. 25% was going to be raised by Indian Rotary Club. 25% was going to be matched by our Rotary district. And 50% was going to come as a matching grant from the Rotary International. But we could not import the equipment, and it was getting so frustrated that my wife and I decided we are going to go back to America. And it was back and forth. We came back and stayed with Dr. Osinski another year, then went back again to try it out one more time. And then finally we gave in, and we finally came back here to permanently settle down here. Ever since I've come back here, I went to Duke for my residency because I had to do everything all over again to get the license here. And then I came to University as Mike had asked me earlier why. And they offered me 3 months off because I wanted to travel a lot with my young children. Because at that time, they looked up to their dad as a hero. So my parents and my children and us, we all traveled so many different continents and countries, and we have covered all 7 continents and a lot of places. Now kids are grown. They don't want to be seen on the same side of the street as their dad. They have their own lives. So I'm glad I came to University, which allowed me to travel so much. And because Dr. Osinski wanted me to do something in Africa, since 2007, I've been going to Africa, training a lot of doctors, spreading this kind of surgery there. And only thing we do is in all this free training and free surgeries, we make each doctor that we train write down that you will train one doctor for free. We make them write it down. We take a picture, we frame it, we give it to them to keep it in the clinic. And we just tell them, these are our verbal agreement that you have made with us. So just train one more doctor because there's so much need. We can't do enough. So you have to train more and more doctors. And now there is a residency program in Africa. About 4 years ago, we had treated our first 100,000 patients. We had done surgery on 100,000 patients at no cost to them by doing fundraisers and working through the American Academy of Cataract Surgery. So a lot of changes happened, but it all started with the Rotary International.
Just walk us through what it's like when you go to Africa and you have that mobile surgery center.
So when you go to Africa, I have a lot of pictures and stuff that now I wish I had done a personal meeting and showed the PowerPoint. But imagine working in a tent where you go outside and sometimes there are ostriches walking around and you stand there to take a picture where somebody comes and grabs you inside and says they can kick and you can die because they can kick a lion. And I wouldn't have known that. Go to Africa where you wake up so early in the morning that you finish your daily routines, and then you know that till you work for the rest of the day, you're not gonna eat anything because there are no restrooms where you're going to be working, and you barely drink enough water because one, you don't want to slow down the number of surgeries that are lined up. There's no appointments. Nobody knows what an appointment is, so you just do surgeries. By 3 o'clock, I'm exhausted, and then I come out and still there's a line of patients. That now some local doctors will do a few cases before we start the didactics at the hotel. And then all the people that didn't get that turn in surgery, they all go home and they come back the next day. Sometimes you are called out to do a surgery on someone that is not in line. And initially I would refuse that. No, people in line only get to do the surgery. So the chief ophthalmologist comes and tells me, can you please come out and tell the next patient that you're not going to do his surgery? So of course, I'm the Duke guy. I went to UCLA. I'm an ophthalmologist from USA in Africa. What are you going to say? So I go out And then I see there is no line. Everybody's standing 50 meters behind the hospital where we're doing the surgery. And there is one guy in white clothes sitting in a chair, which is unusual. Everybody's standing. So I march towards him. And as I get closer, I see there are 4 people in army uniform with AK-47 next to him. He's their health minister. He wants me to do his cataract surgery, and he's not going to stand in line. And if you don't do the surgery, everything is going to be shut down, and I may not make it home. So I tell him, oh, no, sir, of course, I came to welcome you, and we're going to do your surgery right now. And you have to make exceptions. It's a survival skill. So, and then he tells you that, oh, we don't have opposition. And you ask them why. He said, either they're in jail or we killed them. And it's not to brag about anything. He's very matter of fact about this. So these are, and multiple such stories. One day when I'm doing surgery on little children with HIV, I feel like something is happening in my back. So I finish the case, I go to the change room, I take off my scrubs, and there are these big bite marks all over my back. And the other doctor panics and says, let me call the old nurse. She knows everything about what is going on. The old nurse comes in and she says, oh, this is this spider mark. Most people survive. Well, that's not very reassuring in different part of the world. So you go to the ER, and when you see the setup in the emergency room, you treat yourself because you don't want to trust that ER doctor. But all this makes you feel like this is why you became a doctor. This is why the Rotarians wanted you to learn this skill so you can make a difference somewhere where nobody knows your name. Nobody knows who paid all this money through the Rotary to train you, that you're training so many doctors and doing so many surgeries in people that otherwise would have gone blind. So it's all because of people who are listening to this talk and people who are like you, your colleagues. And I think this is what you should be proud of, that you have changed. This is just one story you're listening to, but so many other scholars that got trained in different fields because of the Rotarians. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I want you to tell more stories, because I vividly remember how life-altering this was to some elderly people that were totally blind because their cataracts had solidified.
Yes, so some of the stories are that one of the bad things I had to do was that I had to make a rule that if you are blind in one eye, we're not going to treat you. Now, this sounds so bad from a doctor to tell a patient that, no, I'm not going to treat you because you're blind in one eye. Why? Because at least he could see out of the other eye. We had lines and lines of patients who were blind in both eyes, who couldn't even go to the bathroom, that had to be taken by 1 or 2 family members all day long. So not only that patient was unproductive, but one of the family members had to stay home and not be able to provide food for them to eat. So we decided very quickly that we have limited resources. We're going to do surgery on people who are blind in both eyes. One day when I'm doing surgery at 1 o'clock, one of the chief ophthalmologists comes and tells me, we need you outside for something. I don't break because I want to go till I can do as many surgeries as I can. But this one insisted, so I went out, and there was an elderly lady, and I said, what is going on? She wants to thank you, and she's not going. I said, but I did surgery on her at 8 o'clock in the morning. Why is she still here at 1 o'clock? She said, she wants to give you the blessings. I said, she can come tomorrow, and we're going to see her in post-op care. So the chief ophthalmologist said, she cannot come back tomorrow. Do you see that donkey under that tree? I said, yes. She came on that donkey from 125 kilometers away. She's going to go back on the donkey. Both eyes she can't see right now because we've just done the surgery. She has the patch on. I said, but how does she know she's going to see? She says she knows that you blessed her with good vision. She's going to see very well. And she just wants to give you the blessings that you continue this. Now, remember this story. She waited from 8 o'clock when I was done his surgery till 1 o'clock just to bless me. And she's to 125 kilometers. So she wants to make it there before it's real sunset. I come back here to my surgery center, very hi-fi setup. I have 22 surgeries that day. And my 13th patient is mad and angry. So my anesthesiologist says, can you go out and talk to Miss Jones? She's very angry. So I go out and say, what happened, Miss Jones? And she says, when you did my first eye, I was told to come at 10 o'clock and my surgery was taken in at 10 o'clock. Today, they called me at 10 o'clock and it's 10:10. I've been waiting here for 10 minutes and nobody's taking me in. So I just apologize and say sorry because I have no words to tell them what I have come from, what I have seen, and how blessed we are that we take things for granted in our country. Yep. It just makes you feel how blessed we are. And I tell all these stories to my kids, and I tell them that tomorrow, if everything is taken away from you, whatever car you drive or where you live or what possessions you have nothing to complain, because people there are so happy with what they never had and they're never going to have. So simple pleasures of life don't come from material. They come from the sunshine or the birds chirping or the green tree with flowers on them. These are the joys of nature that are free. So people think I go to Africa to do good and benefit people and I'm good. No, I just go before Rotarians paid for my education. Someone like Bob Sinsky taught me. So it is paying forward, but in return, I learn all these lessons of life, how to be grateful and thankful. And it all started with the Rotarians.
Tell me, some of these people have never seen in so many years because of their cataracts.
Yes,
What was your experience with them when they were able to get their sight back?
So I'll give you real stories of some patients, like a Down's syndrome patient came. He was 45 years old. His parents would bring him because he couldn't see anything out of both eyes. And they said that ever since he was very young, he was afraid of the dark, that at night he would have to be between the parents or with his older brother because he was always terrified of the dark. For the past several years, he developed such big cataracts that he has not been able to see anything, and it's dark all the time. So this person has changed. He can't go to the bathroom. He's always fearful of every little sound or anything that happens. After his first eye cataract surgery, the amount of vision and everything that he had, he was just so, because we could do only one eye at a time on this particular case, because there were some other problems. We had to lower the pressure in the other eye because of the glaucoma. So we just did one eye, and we saw him the next day. He was walking ahead on his own with the parents in the back, and the parents were in tears. But the staff in the surgery center, they had more tears to see the joy in these patients with Down syndrome's eyes. This is what we get to experience, which is so fortunate. There's a mom that we did surgery on that had never seen her firstborn child because the firstborn child was now 3 years old and she had bad cataracts when she delivered the baby. She had never seen her baby. She saw her baby for the first time because young people also get cataracts. There was a 24-year-old lady who spoke fluent English, better than what I speak, in Africa, who had developed cataracts since she was 18 and was just sitting as a little shy person in the household because now she had to be taken care of and they didn't know what was going on. She was just declared blind because nobody could do that kind of surgery for congenital cataract. After the surgery, a year later, she came and visited us in a suit. She's working for a multinational company in Ethiopia. These are the stories of the changes that Rotarians have made that nobody's going to come and thank you for. But I, because of the fortunate award that I got, I get to see this every time I visit Africa or when I do the surgery. Now in America, I've done more than 10,000 surgeries. I have no account of African surgeries because we don't document it. Like here, we have a logbook. 100 doctors have come to me for their surgeries. Why? All because of the training that we could get from that one opportunity that I got through this little Rotary Education Award.
So can I ask you a question?
Please.
Sure.
What is your technique different than any other surgeon that does?
So now, very good question. Now this technique is being used everywhere at Jules Stein and many other places. So it's not unique anymore like it was once upon a time. But when I learned in India, nobody had access to this technology. So I wanted to learn that because we had read when I was studying that this was going to be a revolutionary thing. And it has become a revolutionary thing. Think about it. The whole eye was being cut. People were admitted to the hospital when we were doing cataract surgeries. People would stay with sandbags in their heads, and there were very high rate of complication. Now, some of my bad doctor patients go to work the same day after surgery. I tell them, no, you're not going to take at least one day off. But I have 2 patients that have gone to work the same day. I don't recommend it, but it shows that the technique is so refined and beautiful. And it is a technique that became very popular in early 2000, late 90s, but now almost 80% of the American surgeons use this technique. Still, there are 20%, like there is one physician in my community that will send me all the difficult cases to do, because with, if you're not very comfortable, some people cannot do this very, very well. But to learn this technique 30 years ago by the pioneer who made this technique known worldwide, and takes one doctor from all over the world to train, I think that fortune could not have come to me if I did not have the Rotarians putting trust in me.
So if I looked up cataract surgeons, are you at the top of the top?
No.
Just asking. I'm
Yes,
just,
no.
you've done 10,000 surgeries. I'm just,
Yes,
that sounds like an amazing amount of surgeries.
yes, but I'll tell you my bad things. I show a video to every patient that comes in. One of them, it says, we don't talk about one word, glasses. We don't check for glasses. We don't prescribe glasses. I don't sell glasses. I don't want to speak about the word glasses. I only want to treat patients who have something bad. And my 35% of my practice is patients sent by other doctors to do something that either didn't go well. And anyone who operates will have complications. Even I have complications. So there's nothing to be ashamed about having complications, but to be able to fix the complications, that's the important thing. So because I'm so old and I've been doing it for a while, I now fix cases that somehow didn't turn out well. Plus, because I have operated on some of the physicians, I get referred some cases. But there are so many fantastic doctors. Jules Stein, Dr. Miller, and some of the others, excellent work. A lot of people do great work. So no, there's no one best person. But my dad is a dermatologist. He always told me one thing, that when the patient comes in the chair, the patient trusts you. They don't care you went to UCLA or Duke. They don't know if you've kept up to date, you've done one surgery or 20 surgeries today. They want their eye to be the best. So you do only one patient, and that is your concentration. That surgery has to turn out the best. So I never had any other intention, but I wanted to do the best for my patient. And guess what? That word spread, word of mouth. And now we have to reject or refuse more patients than I can take, because it's just the good work that people see. We don't advertise. I have no website. I don't do anything like that. But if someone comes here, we do the ethical work. That's the only thing. And that's the Rotary 4-way test. When I learned it for the first time, it blew my mind away that this is such a simple thing, that if somebody is not present and I don't do any gossip or say anything derogatory to someone behind their back, then that automatically brings good, positive thoughts, and we are what we think. I think I talked too much.
No, it's great.
So I wanted to ask you the different lenses. So they have the mono, and then they have what I had.
You're the multifocal lens.
Multifocal. So you
Yes.
tell me, have they improved upon those lenses?
Oh, big time, big time. So right now the latest thing, and I'm not saying latest is the best, but at least as science advances, think about the phone we had 10 years ago. Now the phone has a lot more features, but that doesn't mean we would not buy the phone 10 years ago. Like the computer, we advance as things go forward. Like today I'm wearing this tie, but next time we have a meeting, somebody else is going to give me another tie and I'm going to be wearing a better tie. Well, that's a different story. So now we can put a lens in the eye based on a lot of calculations on the computer, and 90% of the time it's a perfect lens that we have chosen. But what if that lens gave you a little bit of glasses? What if it wasn't perfect? Now we can do a light adjustable modification on the lens. We do a laser on that lens after the surgery in our clinic. Takes me 2 minutes. And then we do a little laser and we can change your prescription this way, or correct the astigmatism, and then refine or fine tune the vision. I mean, this is like playing a video game to make people's eyes even more clear. Is it essential? No, but that's the next level of technology. And ophthalmology, that's why it's so much fun. That when I came out of Duke, I thought I was on the top of the world, top 4 programs in the country. Like, who can be a better, I no-showed for my interview at Stanford and Yale, both places I didn't even go because Harvard accepted me. So I thought, why would I go to, I didn't even show up for my interview. But if I had stayed at that level of knowledge, I would have been obsolete by now because there is always changes. And that's why we attend these international conferences. We learn from each other, all the top surgeons, and we improve the skills. So the lenses have been updated. The monofocal gives you one vision. The multifocal gives you a range of vision, as we talked. The toric lens corrects the astigmatism, but your doctor usually explains all this to you and chooses what is best for you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Dwight. You're muted.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of an accommodating lens. Does that apply to some of these genres you've already talked about, or is that entirely different?
I didn't talk about that. You're very correct. There is a lens called accommodating lens. When it came out, we all thought this is going to be a wonderful, because what happens, let's say all of us before 40, we can see far away and we can see near because the lens inside our eye can change its shape. After 40, like small muscles don't work that well, the lens slowly becomes rigid and it stops moving. That's why we have the reading glasses. I don't have any glasses for far away, but my reading, I need this magnifying glasses, which after 40, all of us get because the muscles are not working. They're not accommodating in the lens, in the eye. So the accommodating lens was developed, but it failed. It didn't work very, very well. It could give a little bit of accommodation. It was a little unpredictable, but it did have good far vision, but it didn't give enough accommodation to give a lot of near vision. So it was a very good lens in theory. It worked to give good far vision, but it couldn't accommodate very well. So worldwide, it is being used less than 1% of the surgeries. And we do about 3 million cataract surgeries a year for cataracts all over. But that lens, accommodating lens, has pretty much faded away from the common usage. Not a bad lens, but didn't deliver as much as it said it would.
Steve.
Pranav, do you do much work with patients with strabismus?
Not in America. I gave that up about 15 years ago, but I still teach strabismus when I go to Africa because there's nobody else in the whole country of Ethiopia where we go to do strabismus. So I still do children and that, but I don't do it here anymore.
Right. Do you advise for adults to try to get it corrected at that point in life?
Yes. It's a very simple. Strabismus is just pure math. The surgery works very, very well. And Jules Stein, close to you, has a very good strabismus team. So if you haven't know someone who is an adult with strabismus, definitely get a consultation. Most likely will be thrilled with the surgery.
Really? Okay. Well, that's me. I have it. So
yes,
right.
definitely make an appointment with the strabismus department at Jules Stein. You will be very, very happy.
Okay.
I do not know the condition in the eyes, so I cannot tell you if it will improve the vision, but at least it will align the eyes very, very effectively. And it will.
Right. I've had a consult before, and it was with actually a pediatric ophthalmologist surgeon. Yeah.
So what happens is that because we normally treat the strabismus when there are children, so the pediatric ophthalmologists do most of the strabismus. Even if you're an adult, you go to the pediatric ophthalmologist because it's a strabismus. They are the experts doing it.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Tom.
Yes. Of all these modern corrective techniques and lenses, et cetera, like that, the doctor said, since I have astigmatism, I'm not an eligible candidate. Is that true?
Let me just explain that out of all the American surgeons, only 8% of the people are certified in doing the toric and the multifocal lenses. So some doctors feel that it is better to give a person eyeglasses after their cataract surgery. So they will do your cataract surgery, put a regular implant, which is not a bad implant, but then you will need glasses to see afterwards. Now the technology is available that a toric lens can correct your astigmatism and either reduce it a lot or make it completely go away. So I do not know your exact condition, but a toric lens is one when a person has astigmatism. Astigmatism just means your eyeball is not round. It's like spoon shaped. So we want to correct that whatever way the curvature is. Instead of a nice basketball on the front shape of your eye, it's like a football, like an American football. So we want to correct that. That's the astigmatism. And the toric lenses can correct. But probably your doctor must have explained to you, or there might have been something else going on. I don't want to speak without knowing why. But for 90% of the people with astigmatism, we can correct, not a problem. But again, not every doctor does that. That's also just to keep in the back of the mind.
I know.
Hey,
I think I need
Tom,
to call you back.
Tom, I had that corrected last Wednesday. My stigmatism with the toric lens. I see 20/20 now. So call me after the meeting. I'll give you my doc.
And if anyone has another eye question, Ben seems like so good about this. He's gonna remember everything. He's gonna help everybody locally. Thank you, Ben.
By the way, just so you know, that tie is on your way. It's on its way.
Oh my God. You're too kind. I was just joking.
No, because I think you'd be, if I gave you a blue tie with that, it would pop.
Oh,
Oh my God, I got the perfect tie for you.
I don't know if you realize, but Pranav's clothing line that he wears is always colorful. So
I love
a
colors.
couple years ago, over 10, I'm at the optometrist, and he says, you got a pretty big cataract in your left eye. And he goes, let me recommend some ophthalmologists in the area for you to consider. And I brought to his attention, I said, there's only one ophthalmologist that is going to ever work on my eye. And so I called Pranav, and I had my optometrist talk to Pranav, and that was the first of several conversations. And then when it was time, and it was very strange for me, because as the cataract grew, all of a sudden I could read up close. And that was unusual because it wasn't available for many, many years. So I said, oh, maybe I'm getting better. But then it continued, and it didn't last that long. And so then Rose and I, we flew up, and Pranav did one eye on a Wednesday, and he did the other eye on a Friday. And it's been, I think, 12 years. I don't wear glasses. A lot of my peers are envious and jealous that they're always constantly looking around where that pair of glasses should be. I can read, I can drive, and I've been always very grateful to the success of that surgery from Pranav.
Thank you.
So, yeah, Mike.
Can you just catch us up? I forget, with knowing you for so long, how you met your wife and when, and then where are your kids now?
Yes, I love to answer this. So I had another career in my life. I was on television, on Indian television, and doing drama. And I met my wife on a stage where she and her friend, a common friend, needed a ride to go back home. And they just came up backstage, and I just gave them a ride. And I saw her, and I just said, oh, wow, how wonderful. But I'm from India, so there are arranged marriages. So my parents and her parents got together, talked, and they just set us up, and we've been married for 35 years. She has raised amazing 3 daughters. My oldest went to Stanford. She has now her own kids. My middle one went to Harvard, and she's way up in Irvine, UC Irvine. She's with a big, with Zillow, actually. She's a finance director there. And then I have my youngest one who went to UCLA for undergrad, and the other 2 are making fun of her, but she's in the med school at UC Davis second year. So
Wonderful.
I just read that the dream schools, the 10 dream schools in America, the top 5 included Stanford, Harvard, and UCLA, and at least 3 of my kids made it to those schools. So coming as a first generation immigrant from India to study, and my wife did such tremendous job to make the kids. She taught them to be happy, not to have things, but just to be happy in whatever they want to do. And we are blessed to have wonderful, wonderful family. Thanks for asking.
I echo that sentiment. I've known Opa for most of my adult life, and she's a wonderful person. She's the antithesis of Pranav. While he's outgoing, she's a little more shy and retiring. But once you get to know her, fabulous cook, And anyone, and I say this tongue in cheek, that can survive raising 3 young ladies is to be applauded.
Life has been a true blessing, but I truly believe that with the Rotary connection that I got in my life, just by a sheer accident that a friend told me that this will be someone like you who would qualify for this award, and the life has changed, and I've met so many unbelievable people through Rotary that I truly feel that, you know, I've been blessed, truly blessed.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Pranav. I thoroughly enjoyed your talk, and I hope others did. And next week, we will be doing another Zoom. And then the following week, the first 2 weeks of April, we'll be meeting at Persian Gulf, Ruth's Bay's third restaurant. I want to leave you all with this very positive thought: go Bruins.
And thank you again, everyone.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you, Pranav.
Bye-bye.
Good to meet you all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.